his lead didn't last too long before Oscar Piastri took it and completely dominated the race. However, after a late race caution, which, go figure, it was Verstappen, he cannot catch a break. Apparently, Piastri was handed a 10-second penalty, incredibly controversial for driving erratically behind the safety car, apparently weaving around like NASCAR does to clean their tires off is frowned upon in Formula One, but it is what it is. And with that, Lando Norris takes the presumptive lead and he holds on to win the race. Oscar Piastri recovers to finish second, but the big surprise was Nico Hulkenberg. Storybook finish, got his first ever podium after 239 races. This guy's been racing since 2010. Never finished in the top 3 before. Finally gets it done in the Mean Green Machine this weekend. Congratulations to Hulk. And that was probably the biggest excitement to come out of Formula One this week, aside from Max taking a little spin. But transitioning back to states, Mid-Ohio Motorsports Park, IndyCar. Got the Honda 200 this weekend. Alex Palou, been a big threat all year. Points leader, has won several races already. Takes the lead, he leads from the pole, and well, in true iRacing fashion, they don't even make it to turn 1 this time because you don't on road courses, and a few guys spin off on the front stretch right after taking the green flag. Go figure. You can't help these guys sometimes. iRacing makes fools of us all. But Alex Palou, he holds on to the lead and completely dominates throughout the entire race, even through several green flag pit stops. But unfortunately, he makes a mistake with only 6 laps to go, gets it just off the racetrack, and his teammate Scott Dixon takes the lead from him, with Palou now in hot pursuit several seconds back. Unfortunately, he just doesn't have the time to catch him, and Scott Dixon finishes off the race with a win. Teammates did get a 1-2 finish, and then Christian Lundgaard finishes in 3rd. And that was it for IndyCar. But now we're going from the road courses to the street courses. Streets of Chicago, Illinois. I don't know why the hell we went there. It's supposed to be the last year. I hope we don't come back. Even though it makes for okay racing, I suppose. But why Chicago? Come on, man. Anyway, big story of the weekend, SVG. He has won, up to this point, 50% of the races held between Xfinity and Cup so far at the Chicago Street Course, and he's looking to add to that. And he starts off pretty strong on Saturday, wins the pole for both Xfinity and Cup Series. We're going to start with the Xfinity Series race first. And he starts alongside Austin Hill, and he leads from the get-go. Several cars throughout the first stage kind of losing and stuffing into the tire barriers. Get a couple cautions, but SVG holds on to win the stage. And then going into stage number 2, SVG once more scoots it out to the race lead, and he leads for pretty much the entire way, but a late caution towards the end of the stage has him going into pit road, and then it settles between Jesse Love and Sheldon Creed to battle it out for the stage win. Ultimately, Sheldon Creed in the 00 takes it. Final stage, Sheldon Creed leads the way, and new contender Connor Zilisch comes racing through the field and challenges for the race lead and takes it. This kid's fast on road courses just like SVG is. But speaking of the Kiwi, he is not out of this yet, and he is also marching his way through the field. But Connor Zilisch extends his lead, and he's got a sizable gap over SVG. Only has to hold it for a couple more laps, and he's going to win this race. But as happens, somebody else stuffs it into a tire barrier, and NASCAR's got to throw the yellow at the most inopportune time. So we are going to have a 2-lap shootout. And unfortunately, unfortunately for Connor, SVG has those fresher tires, was able to stay alongside Connor going into turn 1, and kinda maybe sort of ships him into the wall. It's racing on a road course. These guys are super aggressive. It is what it is. But SVG takes the lead and pretty much sticks it to the entire Xfinity Series field and holds on to win back-to-back in the Xfinity Series. So now he is 3 for 5 at this Chicago street course going into Sunday's race, where he is on pole again. And to his outside, we have another road course ringer in Michael McDowell in that 71 car. It's actually looking pretty spiffy this week. I love this paint job. Kind of reminds me of somebody. Couldn't tell you who, though. But anyway, a quick crossover from McDowell sees him stealing the lead and straight up just pulling away from SVG. But in the back of the field, we got a problem with William Byron. He had a little bit of a dust up, we'll call it, during practice, and they spent all night and morning repairing this car. And for whatever reason, the engine just has no power at the start of this race. He only scoots around for a couple laps before pulling it into the garage. His day is already done. That is the first last place finish for the 24 car in a good while. I couldn't even tell you when Jeff last did it. But we don't get to deal with him before too long, because on lap 3, major pileup coming out of turn 12. And is it to anybody's surprise that was caused by Carson Hocevar once again? Yeah, 77 was up in 3rd place, hits the inside wall coming off of the turn and just loses it, and gets turned broadside to the oncoming field. And for whatever reason, the rest of the field does not know what the brake pedal is and just plows into this guy. I mean, it's not like they don't have a lot of reaction time. I get some of them probably wouldn't have avoided this, but there's like a dozen cars stuck in here. So that was red flags for a hot minute while everybody got untangled. At least Arby's got a pretty good sponsor showcase out of that one. Their name was everywhere. And we will see them more later on in this race. But after we get that going, Michael McDowell keeps a firm grip on the lead and pretty much goes unchallenged and wins stage 1, which happens to also be the first stage win for Spire Motorsports. They got their first win a couple of years ago with I think it was Justin Haley at Daytona, and Carson Hocevar looking for his first as well, but this is their first stage win. And going into stage number 2, McDowell leads again over Rowdy Bush. He was looking fairly strong throughout this race as well, and I think his time's coming. We all could use a good Kyle Busch bout before too long, right? It's been long enough. But there's a quick caution that comes out after a couple laps, where disaster strikes the leader once again. This has been a crazy weekend, for leaders. The number 71, for some reason, has a stuck throttle, and you can see him smoking the tires here a bit behind the pace car. But he pulls it down pit road to get that serviced. They didn't quite fix it. His day is essentially done, and the lead gets handed back over to SVG on the restart. And he pretty much leads the entire way before pitting again at the end of the stage to get set up for the final run, and hands stage 2 to Ryan Blaney, padding his numbers a bit more for the playoffs as well. Stage number 3 of fuel strategy call is now in play. You got Chase Briscoe in the 19 and Tyler Reddick in the 45 up front, and a whole host of new cars are inside the top 10 right now. You got Bowman, you got Bubba Wallace up in there, Joey Logano finally. Not that we care about that. But it's pretty hectic on these restarts, because coming in the distance, there are rain clouds. Like we didn't have enough drama going into this. And the leaders are up front. They're all attempting to save fuel to make the end of this race. But SVG has a full fuel tank and 4 fresh tires, and he is just tearing through the entire field. One after another, they cannot hold this guy back. And for too long, he takes the lead with 16 to go. And it seems it's pretty much game over. There are a couple more hiccups, a few more chaotic restarts that have to be sorted through, and the bracket battles are in full effect. Reminder, there is $1 million on the line in a couple weeks. This week there are 16 drivers divided up into 2 going head-to-head. Highest finisher moves on to the next race, and the biggest one that we watch is Alex Bowman versus Bubba Wallace. They are right next to each other for several laps, beating and banging, and it's a slugfest. Bubba Wallace actually completely doors Bowman into the wall a few times, and Bowman eventually does get even and just completely dumps the 23 and turns him around on the straightaway. I think it was justified personally. Some people think it wasn't. They got some bad history between them, but you know, what are you gonna do sometimes? But Alex Bowman prevails there, and there was a couple other dust-ups with Ross Chastain and apparently Joey Logano. Somehow nobody caught this on camera. Joey was very upset. Cry me a river. But SVG is up front and holding it on, and with 2 laps to go, it looks like it's going to be clean sailing until Cody Ware's car decides that the controller wanted to disconnect, and he just stuffs it right into the tire barrier. Yeah, that one definitely hurt. He was doing over 120 going into that. Doesn't sound very fast, but that was a quick stop, and that hurts. Trust me. Ugh, still got bruising from that wreck. But again, NASCAR makes a slightly controversial call. SVG had not yet taken the white flag when Cody Ware stuffed it, but they let the race run green. And it wasn't until SVG had got all the way to turn 3 that they decided to throw the yellow and end the race. It was kind of already a presumed done deal anyway, but the timing was a bit off this weekend for NASCAR. But with that, the Kiwi stomps everybody in the entire field for the entire weekend. First driver since Kyle Busch to win the pole and the race for both Xfinity and Cup Series in the same weekend. He has now won 2/3 of all the races won in the Chicago Street Course. And if we don't return, that number is going to stand for all time. It sounds like potentially next year they're going to be racing the streets of San Diego. Definitely an interesting choice, but hey, I prefer a change of scenery. I'm sure those guys would love to have a couple summer days on the beach. But that is going to be it for this race weekend. Next week, Formula One is off, but the IndyCar has a double-header weekend at Iowa Speedway. Very fast cars, very short track. Those are going to be very fun to watch. I believe both might actually be under the lights, so I have to double check that. And NASCAR is going to be returning to Sonoma Raceway. SVG going to be a favorite going into next weekend. I don't know if he's going to be running Xfinity, but definitely for the Cup race, he'll be a threat the entire day. And I believe the ARCA will be racing as well, so I'll be covering that. But until then, y'all have a great rest of your weekend, and watch out for those rugby balls.